Hey, what's up guys? So today I'm comparing the Portronics Breeze with the Sony XB10. Now either of these speakers do not need any separate introduction because they are so popular among the masses, but for any of the newcomers out here who are contemplating on buying these speakers that don't know anything about them, I'll just go over some of the key features and differences between the two. So the Sony XB10 is a 5-watt speaker, while the Portronics Breeze is a 8-watt speaker. Both of these have, water and dust resistance, but they are not waterproof. Now, physically, the XB10 is like half the size of the Breeze, and size does not matter in this case because, as you will see in the sound test, that both of these are more equal than different. But of course there are certain differences and I'll get into that later. Now on the outside, the XB10 has a matte rubber finish while the Portronics Breeze has fabric all around. The XB10 has a upward firing main driver, so the main speaker driver is on the top, and on the bottom you have a passive bass radiator. Whereas in the Breeze, you have two passive bass radiators on either side, and the main driver units, which I think many miss, is that the main driver unit is on the opposite side of the button layout. So in my experience, I found that though both claim to give you 360-degree sound experience, I personally felt that it was the Sony that gives you that real 360-degree experience in terms of sound, because it's an upward firing speaker, so the sound spreads on all sides equally. Whereas for the Breeze, it does tend to get a bit directional, but that's only if you're really listening carefully. Otherwise, it's just fine. But I'm not going to talk anymore. Let's get straight into the sound test. I'm going to be playing the same tracks on both of these devices, and you listen to them, form your judgment. I'm going to come back and give you my verdict on which sounds better and which has better bass, and ultimately which one you should pick if you are planning on buying one. So let's straight get into the sound test.
While you and me repeat, this bittersweet heat is suffocating. I'm waiting and always hesitating. Kryptonite desires set my heart afire. Heart on fire. Set my heart afire.
that was the sound test between the Sony and the Portronics, the XB10 versus the Breeze. So I don't know what you guys made out of this sound test, and I hope it gives you as fair an idea as I did listen to this in my studio. So let me give you my verdict, what I heard in person. I think while I was playing the same tracks on both of these devices, you would have noticed that the Breeze sounded louder than the Soundra. And in most cases, that would be true. That could be either of two reasons. One, the XB10 is a 5 watt speaker while the Breeze has an extra 3 watts. So it's an 8 watt speaker. So that could be one reason why it's got more power, it sounds louder. But the other thing which I noticed is that the Breeze tends to favor the vocals or the mid and high frequencies over the low frequencies. And it's to a point that the Breeze almost over sharpens the vocals or the mids and highs. Now, in my personal opinion, I found that the sound of the Sony XB10 is richer and much more whole and bodied compared to the Breeze. Now, let me tell you that both sound incredible, and in my studio, both are absolutely loud enough to fill this room. But for prolonged listening, I found that the Sony sounds more natural. It sounds less harsh on your ears for prolonged listening, and that's because the Sony, it does not over sharpen the vocals or the mids and highs, but you do get to hear everything. Whereas for the Breeze, it really over sharpens the highs and mids. The vocals turn out to be extra sharp and they turn out to be more prominent in comparison to the Sony. So in a blind test, you would most probably pick the Breeze because it would tend to give you louder sound and the vocals would sound more crisp. But side by side, and if you really value quality, then the Sony gives you that natural pleasing sound with a whole bodied sound altogether. Now, when it comes to the bass, most often the Sony gives you a more powerful bass because it is catered towards that. But that's not to say that the Breeze does not have any bass. The Breeze also has ample bass and it also has thumping bass, mind you, for all of you who might be wondering which has more thumping bass. Both do offer that. So you can absolutely set aside your doubts. Both are really good in the department of bass, but if you prefer a bit of more bass, then the Sony is the one that's going to give you more bass. But there's a catch. At max volume, the bass of the Sony tends to get a bit distorted and muddy at max volume. Whereas at the max volume, the Portronics Breeze, while giving you a tad bit less bass, it does not distort. So that's kind of a give, and I mean, you lose some and you win some in terms of these, but overall I would still give it to the Sony because if you play it below 100% volume, even at 90%, the bass really is good and rich compared to the Breeze. But if I didn't hear the Sony and if I just heard the Breeze, those two passive bass radiators on either side really do justice to the bass. They might not be as prominent as that of the Sony, but it's very pleasing, and like I said, there was no distortion, which I really appreciate. I wish the Sony did not distort at max volume. So that's the sound department. When it comes to the other features, well, both give you the ability to pair with other speakers. The Sony can be paired with another XB10 if you want that true stereo output, and the Breeze also has TWS or true wireless stereo, so you can pair it with another Breeze to give you that left and right separation. Battery life is far better on the Sony XB10 than the Portronics Breeze. So charging takes about the same time, but honestly I've never completely run out of charge ever. As soon as I see that the battery is low on either, I charge it, but the Sony on a full charge outperforms the Breeze. Connectivity wise, the Sony gives you just the option to connect an aux port, and it's got an aux port so you can connect it from a non-Bluetooth source. But the Breeze, apart from giving you an aux port, also gives you the provision for an SD card which you can just plug in and listen to your favorite songs. So that's about it. When it comes to the price, the Sony is priced at around over 3,000, so it ranges between 3,100 to 3,300, while the Breeze will give you, I mean, it's going to be within 2,400 rupees. So there is a price difference. At times it could be $1,000 more. The Sony would be $1,000 more than the Breeze. But if you want better sound quality, and if you trust my verdict, and based on what you heard, then if you can shell out that extra 1K, get the Sony XP10. You get better battery, richer, natural sound with good bass, and all in all, it's a really sweet package. But if you have the budget of $2,500, you cannot go wrong with the Breeze. It's got really nice sound quality. It might over sharpen the sound, but maybe you'd like that. Maybe you like the sharp vocal and instruments are really clear, and the bass is also undistorted and really good. You can't go wrong with either. If you have any more questions, do let me know in the comment section below. The links to both of these are in the description, so if you want to buy either, you can just click the link and buy it, and you'll also get the latest pricing on both. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to Piyukash 9 and hit the bell icon so that you never miss another upload. Follow me on Twitter at @Piyukash 9, and as always, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Cheers.